folks, welcome to the Hypno Lions Roar podcast. I have with us today Dr. Sue Williams. She is a hypnotherapist that deals with sports athletes, helping them get their peak performance in their chosen sports. Dr. Sue, welcome. And I'm going to ask you, just tell us a little bit about you and what you do, how you did it, and what got you into hypnosis.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm in Australia, so if I've got a strange accent, then that's the reason. But yeah, this is my fifth year of having the sport hypnotherapy practice as it is. And I got into the natural therapies probably 12 or 13 years ago. I started off with mindfulness, and that just seemed to click with me. And I became a master practitioner in mindfulness. But then, as you may know, you get into these things and you go down a lot of rabbit holes and you find that there are a lot of other things that catch your interest. So I got into NLP and again became a practitioner of NLP, but that led to the hypnotherapy. And I had been using the self-hypnosis audio downloads because I found that they were really helpful in a number of areas of my own life. And when the opportunity came up to train in the hypnotherapy, I jumped at the chance. And one of the main reasons that I wanted to actually become a practitioner to help other people was because I'm a competitive horse rider. And a lot of my friends are in, say, the 40, 50, 60-year-old age bracket. And a lot of them were returning to riding after having a family, or they'd got to the part of their life where they had enough money to be able to buy their own horse because the kids were off their hands and they were back at work and they actually had enough money to go and buy their own horse. The problem was, after being away from riding for so long, they had become quite anxious and fearful, and especially taking their horses out to competitions, because you've got the added complication of having to put your horse in the trailer and drive it somewhere. And that can be really confronting for women who've never done a lot of towing behind their car. And you've got this huge live animal in the trailer behind you. That can be really confronting. So they would get to their competitions after the stress of driving and towing, and then just so many of them would be on their own. Their partner's not interested in horse riding at all. So they would get to the venue, they would be by themselves, probably doing dressage where you have to remember 30 or 40 different movements in a test. No one there to read the test out to you, which is allowed in most competitions, but just not having that support. And I would find them, because I would know them, I would find them vomiting behind their trailer. They would be so stressed. And this is supposed to be a sport that you love, you enjoy. So I thought there's a real need for someone to be able to help these people get over this anxiety and excuse me, allow them just to enjoy their sport again. And that's been so effective. I find that the equestrian ladies generally only need that one hypnotherapy session to overcome this stress, this anxiety. And from doing that, I spread to all sports. So the motto for my practice is any sport, any athlete, any team. And I've dealt with and helped a wide range of athletes in all sorts of sports, individual sports and team sports.
So let me ask you a question. When you helped these ladies over that, and it took one session, had they ever experienced hypnosis before, or were you the first?
I was the first. One? Yep.
And then how long would that session last?
A 2-hour session. I
Oh, wow.
always
Okay.
give them a relaxation recording to listen to for a few
Mhm.
times before the actual session. And that seems to prime their subconscious so they're ready to actually make the big changes. But I think for a lot of them, it's just having that support, knowing
Right.
that, yes, this is the reason why I'm stressing out so much. But there is a network of people, me and others that I introduce to these people who can
Mm.
help, who can support them. They know they're not alone. And it's a very solitary sport, horse riding.
Yes.
It's surprising how solitary it is. So once they have that support, we've found the root cause of whatever's causing the stress, whether most of the time it goes back to something in their childhood. And horsey people tend to be horsey all their lives. So perhaps they've nagged their parents. No, I want a horse, I want a horse, I want a horse. Parents are giving in, they're not horsey. They know nothing about buying the right horse for their child. And then the horse turns out to be really not what the child should
Right.
have. So the parents are saying, oh, you're hopeless. We've spent all this money. We've wasted all this money. So, yeah, that young mind is saying, okay, yep,
There
I'm
you go.
hopeless. Yep, okay, got that. I waste your money. Yep, got that. So once the women realize,
Isn't it amazing what people carry with them from childhood? And it seems sometimes that it can be so benign, but
mm,
it has such impact as you get older,
yeah,
uh, many
yeah,
times much more so than being younger. Let me ask you this: before you became a hypnotist, before you went down that road, what did you
hmm
do? What was your job or
yeah.
business? Or,
I'd sort of never known what I wanted to do, to be perfectly honest. And this mindfulness, which I did as a professional development course for my job, um, was what said, oh, at last, in my mid-50s, I know what I should be doing with my life. But I've worked for the education department here in Victoria, Australia, for 26 years, coming up for
wow,
27. Um, and great job. Working in schools is amazing, but it was never that thing, that thing that I knew I wanted to do. It was a really good job that paid the bills, but it
right?
wasn't what my true calling was. So now that I'm doing the hypnotherapy, yeah, that's what I want to do.
And do you find that being a hypnotherapist or being hypnosis, as you've gone through this journey, that you get more of a connection to your clients and a more of an understanding,
Mm.
and sometimes they might look at you, would they look at you like you must be psychic or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like I say, oh, how did you know that? You don't know me that well to be able to know all this stuff about my past and how I'm feeling. And I said, well, we do have a common bond if we're horse riders, but yeah, it's this thread throughout the clients. I
Do
mean,
you
like 95% of the clients have had something happen in their childhood
right?
where they've felt that they're not good enough. And then they'll have also a string of other things that have happened in their lives that relate back, failed partnerships and um, failing in other sports as well. Just
Right.
giving all these sports a go, but never quite getting to the level that they wanted to get to. But the horse riding is so different because you've got this other sentient being in the partnership, and they're big and they're strong and they can be quite unpredictable. And
Mhm.
if you haven't got that confidence and you're nervous, then the horses are so sensitive they pick up on it. So
Interesting.
that's, yeah, build up the rider's confidence, and then the horse will just perform so much better because the rider knows what they're doing and they're not freaking out over things which the horses pick up on.
Right. Now, do you still ride horses?
Yeah, yep, I
Do you?
do. Yep.
And the type of competition you do is explain the
I do
competition.
dressage. Yeah, I do dressage now. The Western sports aren't so prevalent here in Australia. We do more of the traditional English type riding. So in the past, I've done the things like eventing, which has got the dressage, show jumping, and cross country,
Okay.
and just straight show jumping. But I find the ground's a bit too hard now that I'm old.
Yeah.
So stick
Yeah,
to
it
the
never gets
dressage.
softer, does it? Yeah, it never gets softer, that ground. It just
No,
doesn't.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting. So you and most of your clients, when you work with people, do they come up, do you come across them in the industry as you're doing your competitions, or do people refer them to you, or
Oh
how do
yeah,
you
I
get your
do
clients?
get referrals. Referrals can be tricky because a person has to be ready to do hypnosis, as you would know.
Yep.
And some kind-hearted friends who have experienced it will say, "Oh, you should go to Sue. She's amazing," but they're just not ready.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I always talk to people before I get them to book in for the actual session, just to see where they're at, whether they're ready to do the big changes.
Now, I noticed in the information that you sent me, and I found this fascinating, that you deal with other animals.
Yeah.
Cover some of that. What is exactly that?
Yes, I know it probably sounds a bit woo, but it's definitely
You know
scientifically
what?
backed.
I've been in this thing long enough. I don't discount anything. So,
Yeah, yep,
you know,
yep. You need to have an open mind because you don't know what you don't know, and there's an awful lot out there that you don't know about until
there you
you
go.
actually
There
find
you
out.
go.
But yeah, a while ago, actually, when I was doing my doctorate, which is in quantum counselling, which is based on quantum physics and epigenetics, one of the lecturers was a NES Health consultant, and NES Health uses electronic devices plus software, proprietary software that you view on your computer. You scan the body, the body's energy field, and while you do that, it picks up the energy field of all the organs in the body. It can pick up your emotions, the positive and the negative, wide range of things. You wouldn't believe the number of screens that you can actually view all this on. But you can use that technology for humans, and this is how I got into it. The lecturer said, "Are you interested in finding out about this body field energy and how the treatments, which are in pharmaceuticals, little bottles of imprinted water, can help your health?" And I said, "Oh yeah." So I got into it that way quite a while ago. And then again, because I like to train in things, I trained as an health practitioner. So I'm qualified to do that now for humans, horses, dogs, and cats. And of course, it's not limited to those animals. It's just that they're the only screens we have available so that you actually see the animal's body on the computer screen. And it points
Interesting.
out the different areas that need support.
And when you do that to an animal, what exactly is it that you're getting from that, and what are you able to do with that information?
Yeah, the proprietary software, you use the hand scanner for the animals. It's just, and I mean, you can use it for humans too, but you can do a voice scan over the computer for humans, but you need to do it in person for the animals. Hold it against them, Bluetooth to your phone, and then the phone uploads the information from the hand scanner to the software. And then you'll go in and you'll look at the animal's body, and it will say, you'll have a list of areas that the software has picked up that the animal's body needs supporting. So it may need, the heart imprinter may need support, the liver, other areas in the digestive system, bone. There may be some issue with the bone. it'll pick up their emotions. So there may be fear. Obviously, it's being a prey animal. The horses, you'll quite often find fear, but a whole range of things. And then you use there's another device we call our My Health device, which emits the correct energy to correct whatever needs support in the body, whatever being that you're treating, but also these infoceuticals, and there's over 100 different ones that support the different areas in the body that need it. And you just, literally a bottle this big, and you give 15 drops a day to the animal, just into a separate container, and then squirt it into their mouth. And just amazing. And then after 21 days, you scan again and see which areas have improved. And some have improved so much that it allows other areas of the body that need support to come forward as well.
Wow. So if I had a dog or a cat, what would I look for in them to say, hey, maybe they need something like this?
If they're not, well, if they're getting older, they don't need to show any other signs other than they're getting older, and maybe they're getting a bit stiffer. They can't jump up onto the couch like they used to. And also, maybe they've gone off their food for some reason, or their demeanor is different.
Okay.
But especially as they get older, because with animals, with our Western diet that we feed them, the internal organs can age much quicker than they would if the animals were out in the wild with their natural diet.
Right.
So we find the liver and the kidneys tend to age a lot quicker and need support.
That is fascinating. Now, when you started, because you started NLP before you did hypnosis, is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
How long were you doing NLP before you stumbled in or was exposed to hypnosis?
Probably not that long, but it just seemed to be a natural progression from the mindfulness, because it's using that language which helps people to resolve their problems. You as the NLP practitioner know how to say things, how to put words together, and create these images that the people can use to move on with whatever their problems were. But again, the NLP just seemed to be another step towards the hypnosis, because you use the hypnotic language, obviously, in your sessions.
Right.
And the NLP was a really good grounding for using the hypnotic language.
Interesting. I've always looked at NLP as almost like hypnosis's little brother.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I when you learn the history of NLP and that, I really think that they invented or developed NLP as a different modality that was so close to hypnosis that they could present to the business community without actually using the word hypnosis.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, hypnosis has had a bit of a bad rap with some stage hypnotists, I have to say, and some movies and TV shows put it in such a bad light that people say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. You'll take over my mind."
Yeah, but that goes, that could happen to a lot of things. The entertainment industry gets them and just blows it out of proportion.
Yeah.
So do you find that in your practice now that you still use NLP as a standalone modality, or is it more hypnosis?
No, not. I just incorporate some of the techniques. It's very good with the horse riding to reinforce that confidence. I actually, in the horse riding sessions, I put in a small part where I get the riders to imagine that they are approaching their horse, getting on. They lock onto a spot between the ears, which is an anchor, NLP anchor, and then give them a list of instructions. So every time they look at that spot, this is what they recall, what their body feels like. So I don't use it standalone, but it's a very useful technique to be able to anchor particular things so that the people will automatically do them, as it's sort of like a post-hypnotic suggestion, I suppose.
Gotcha. Now, do you find that when, let's say you have a rider that's really skittish of their horse and nervous around it, do you see the person when they are with their horse?
No, I don't need to.
Okay.
But I also, sorry. Yeah, keep going.
I was wondering if there was a difference in the horse's demeanor before the person underwent hypnosis for their fears and stuff, and versus what after, whether the horse is calmed down and you could have a noticeable effect on the horse you could actually see.
Absolutely. That's the feedback I get. That these women say, you've helped me, but now, because I'm so much calmer, the horse is so much calmer. And
that's amazing.
Well, that's the thing. They're herd animals. They look to, if they're away from their horsey friends, they look to their rider as being their leader. And if the rider is confident and physically confident, because you can't put it over the horse just because you're standing there looking, pretty tough, the horse knows underneath, what's going on? Why is there this fear that the person's not even expressing logically, but they can feel the tension in your body. And that's the feedback I get, that, wow, my horse has really calmed down too. But at the same time, because I've got, 30, 40 years experience with horses, sometimes I tell them, well, maybe the horse that you've been trying to ride isn't the one for you at the moment.
Right.
See if you can borrow or lease or go to an establishment and ride a quieter horse until you are assured that you have your confidence back. Because it doesn't take much for someone to totally lose their riding confidence. A scary fall's enough to put you off totally, just one fall.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend that if they're still a bit iffy about getting onto the horse that they would normally ride, and it's usually the one that's given them the fright, go and get on a nice quiet horse somewhere. Ride a friend's horse just until you get back into the swing of things, because it's quite different to a golfer or a basketball player. They've got this inanimate object that they're dealing with. So we work a different way, obviously, with the different sports. But yeah, the horse riders really need to set themselves up for success and not just go out and be reckless and ride this horse that also has issues. Because there are no bad horses. There are horses with issues that 99% of the time the humans will have created the issues. So these people need
we have a tendency to mess up, muck up things, don't we?
We do. We're very good at it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: when you were introduced to hypnosis, was it the fact that you yourself had undergone a session of hypnosis, or did you see something? Tell me about that. What was that catalyst?
Yeah, prior to doing the training, and of course, when you're doing the training, you're swapping sessions with other people who are training as well. Prior to that, I'd never had an actual session. I'd only ever used the downloadable audios. But I found there was such a change in me just by using the audios, that actually being able to give sessions to people was going to be so beneficial to them. But yeah, the audios was enough.
Wow. Wow. Now, was the audio from a variety of different therapists, or was it from one hypnotherapist?
One in particular, Wendy Friesen, who's in the US.
Okay.
That was my introduction to them. She has a wide range of different audios, and they were the catalyst, I suppose, to me moving and doing more research and then doing the training myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you limit your practice to just people that horse riders?
Oh no. The sport hypnotherapy, it's all sports. So
Okay.
basketball, golf, surfing's another one where you've got the fear aspect. That and downhill skiing, things like that, where you're actually putting your body on the line, but those sessions you're dealing with fear, and then you're doing the mental rehearsal once you get over the fear, so that your performance improves. But
Okay.
the other sports like basketball, golf, tennis, all the different types of football, martial arts, all those things, we do more the mental rehearsal, working out why you've got issues, why the basketballer keeps missing the free throws, why the golfer keeps doing a slice and then missing the putt. There are reasons why they do these particular things over and over again, and their actual coach, their sports coach, even though they show them the correct technique, they just can't overcome the golfers and their yips and that sort of thing. So it's
And when they go through these sessions with you, how long do they see before they see a change in their motor skills or muscle memory or that and see an improvement?
a lot of it is very quick, like in the days after the session. It can be that quick, and they can, especially if they've got that coach, because then they can go to the coach and say, I've had this hypnotherapy and this is what came up, and now I feel I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. So can we work on that again, but with a different frame of mind? And often that's it. They just need that catalyst to be able to make that change, and then they progress so much better with their coach.
Okay. And do you find that with those athletes that you're with them once a week, once every 2 weeks, or just one session?
One session, and then I would someone who needs a lot of support, who has issues that come up in that first session.
Right.
3 is usually as many as they will need, as long as they're continuing with the support of their own coach.
Got you. Okay.
So yeah, I help them change that mindset, and then the coach can keep going with the physical aspect and work with this new person who's got a new way of thinking about their sport. But of course, I also create the audios for them with the mental rehearsal. So they'll say, well, I need to be able to get into the zone. If it's a runner, I need to be in the zone on the starting blocks. I need to be able to block out all the spectators, all that noise, all the noise on the loudspeaker, and just disregard the competitors around me. My only competitor will be myself. So I do the audios that they can listen to before they go to the competition. And I've actually got a new app coming out for the horse riders, which gives 5, 10, and 20-minute audios. So they can listen to the 20-minute one for specific problems, quite a wide range, including towing the float, the trailer, to overcome that anxiety. But then they've got the 5-minute one that they can just put their earbuds in, and as they're going out to get their horse, this is the reminder of what we did in the session. If you've got anxiety today, here we go through the breathing routine using that NLP anchor, and that just gives them that top up before they go out and get on their horse.
Now, your app that's coming out, when how long did it take you to develop that, and when is it going to hit the market?
Yeah, I started with the software developers in December, and it's going to be using AI because I've recorded a whole bank of inductions, deepeners, the actual sessions, and the coming out of the hypnosis at the end. And they're all going to be combined so the person can choose their own induction, their own deepener from a wide range. And
Oh,
then
wow.
for, say, their show jumping, their dressage, their connection with the horse, the towing the float, getting back into it after a fall, winning, getting the winning mindset, all these things are the different actual sessions. And then they can choose the 5, 10, and 20-minute downloads for all those. So potentially thousands of different ones, but it's all done through AI,
That
just
is
combining
fascinating.
all the sections.
Now, is that something that you came up with yourself in terms of the framework and all of that, or how you had a
No,
vision for it?
it was actually another hypnotherapist who does a lot of AI work. He's really got into that side of it, creating all sorts of things using AI. And he said, would you be interested in working with me to create this particular app so that people can just listen to it on their phone? I said, oh, yeah, because that's going to support my clients as well post-session.
And is the app, when it comes out, is that something that you'll be able to access through your website?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called Rider's Mindset, and it will be a download, or the link will be on the Sport Hypnotherapy website. And what are we in now? May. Hopefully, we'll be opening it up for a wait list in this next week.
Okay.
And then we'll be having it available for people to actually download the individual tracks.
AI has just made its way into everything, hasn't it?
It has.
My
Yeah,
God.
I did have to record, I think it was 109 bits of talking for all the different parts of the audio. But then it's the AI that goes in and picks out what the person wants. So whether it's going down steps for the induction, or whether it's going in an elevator, or any number of different inductions that the person finds best for them. Because also the feeling for the induction, because a lot of people aren't visual. So you need to offer them something where they'll feel through their body that they're going into the relaxed state. So, yeah, whatever they feel is best for them, they can choose.
All right. And do you have any sort of trainings or anything available? Do you train hypnotists in anything, or?
No, I haven't gone into that area yet. I'm just enjoying working with clients at the moment. It's yeah, that part I find so rewarding because you can see the results, and the athletes are just so excited about being able to break through that ceiling where they always stop, and just and improve their performance so much.
Now, have you found with clients that do the sessions of hypnosis with you that they have tried different therapies before?
I say this time and again, I'm the last resort. People come to me when everything else has failed, and particularly with the horse riding, because these women, they love their horses, but they're not riding, and their friends and their partner are saying, why are you spending all this money on a horse that's stuck out in the field? Why don't you sell it? And the women are saying, I can't sell it. I love my horse. So they come to me in desperation. Can you help me so that I'm going to get these people off my back telling me I have to sell my horse? So that particularly was the riders, but because there is that bit that's different to other sports. But also the like I had a rugby player who came to me, and this was just in the discovery call. We hadn't even had the session, and he was saying, "Look, I've been in the training squad for our national rugby team. It wasn't in Australia; it was an international team, and several times I know I've got the skills. I've got into the training squad." But as soon as I get into that training squad and it looks like we're getting to the point where the actual team's going to be picked, something happens. And so, well, what happened? Well, I went out and crashed my car, went and got into drugs and alcohol, broke up with my partner. And I said, can you see that there's some sort of common thread here? Oh, and he went and injured himself. Not even playing rugby. He just went and injured himself. And all of a sudden the light bulb comes on. He said, yeah, every time I'm almost ready to succeed, I do this self-sabotage. So, and then once the person realizes what's going on, then the session is quite easy because you just reinforce that this is stuff they have to get rid of, and here's the new positive stuff. You'll be able to make the team next time you get on the squad because you've left all that baggage behind. So it's amazing what the mind can do.
It is indeed. It's amazing. Now, when someone calls you up on your discovery call, do you find that most of them have never had hypnosis before?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And so when you're talking to them and trying to explain the process of hypnosis, how do you get the point across to them of what it is and what it isn't?
Well, I just tell them how the whole thing works.
Okay.
So that they know that it's going to be relaxing. They're going to wake up and they're going to feel so good because it's been such a relaxing experience. But I explain that I'm not going to go in and do mind control. The session is them working with me, guiding them through. And so I tell them what they can expect from a session. I give them the relaxation recording, which also has the induction, and then a little bit of getting them to relax their body, be aware of where they've got tension in their body and that sort of thing, and then bring them out again. But they listen to that a few times and then they become more receptive, obviously, for when we do the session. But it's the discovery call, I think, is more clearing up the myths about hypnosis.
Okay.
What to expect in the session and after the session, and setting them up for success at that stage too. Getting them to realize that they have control over their body. Their thoughts are what creates their reality. So changing the negative mindset and getting them to think more positive thoughts and realize that they can attain the heights that they really want to attain.
So when you're doing the discovery call, what trips you to the fact that this person may not be ready for hypnosis? At what point? And then at what point do you share that with them?
Yeah, I think it can be quite obvious that they're not really interested. You can describe it all, and there's still that doubt. And they think, I don't, even though you're telling me all this, I don't know that it's going to work for me. You can tell pretty much straight away, and it's the referrals, as I said before. It's the referrals from people who have had success, and just getting friends to come along and find out about it, but they're not necessarily ready for the change because I think the subconscious mind is still protecting them, obviously, because that's what the subconscious mind does. And the subconscious will be saying, no, you don't want to do that. if you do overcome these fears, just think what might happen. You might be able to go out there and do all this stuff that's really scary at the moment. So, their own limiting beliefs are limiting them from improving.
Now, when do you find that if you turn them away, or you come to a mutual agreement that say, hey, this is probably not something for you at this time, have they ever come back at a later date, whether it's a week or 6 months or a year?
No, there was one lady who was referred to me because her sister had come to me for anxiety, and her whole family had been encouraging her because the sister had had such success. And she came, and at that stage, no, she wasn't ready to change, but she came back later and had huge success once she was ready. But the sports people, not so much.
Gotcha.
Because I think because sport for the majority of just the general public is something to go and do, rather than the elite athletes. I mean, that's their life. So they're looking for change. But the others have to weigh up how much I charge, because I'm not cheap.
Right.
Because what they pay me for is the change. So they have to weigh it up. Do I want to spend this money and change, or do I want to just keep doing what I'm doing, which is okay, but it's, I'll get by. So
right. Right.
Unfortunately, that's the determining factor, that they have to weigh up the value of what I can offer against what they're willing to pay.
Right. Interesting. So when you're working with people and they're outside of the sports circle of influence, I guess outside the sports, what do you find that you work most with, as far as people coming to you and say, yeah, my issue is blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, general anxiety is a big one. Some of them have actually been diagnosed as GAD. And of course, this is the thing with the human mind. We want resolutions. So we want a label, so we know what's wrong with us. So if you go to a doctor and the doctor says you've got generalized anxiety disorder, yes, now I know what's wrong with me. So I've got this label. But that's just the way of the human mind. It just wants to find out what it is and then have that label to turn to. But yeah, the anxiety is a big one, and it is across all areas of the population. But I have treated quite a few younger people as well with the anxiety. So late teens, early 20s, dealing with moving out from home, going to university, that sort of time of their life.
Now, but is that something that they themselves sought out for you, or is it something that the parents?
Oh, it's been a combination, actually. Okay. Yeah. People, a lot of them have known friends who've had the hypnotherapy for their sport. And then they've just inquired, because it's not like in the old days, you go to the yellow pages and, go to the H, here's the hypnotist. And I'll just
you just dated yourself.
Yeah.
I said, you just dated yourself on the yellow pages.
No, yes.
So I find it interesting, is what you had mentioned, the labels, that when a person has a label hung on them, they tend to live up to that label.
Exactly.
They embrace it, and they say, the reason I am the way that I am is because I've been diagnosed. And it really causes more issues than what is needed. And that.
That's what upsets me too about working in the education sector, is all these kids labelled with all these conditions, the ADHD and all these sorts of things. And then, as you say, Well, I've been labelled as that. So I'm the disruptor in the classroom because I've been told that's what I am. And so I'm going to do that because that's what everyone knows me as doing. And, they just, there's not the budget in the mainstream schools for these kids who need separate attention to overcome these things. And I mean, so often it's things happening at home, which again, you don't have a lot of control over. But I do see that once the kids are labelled, they, as you say, they live up to that label because, especially being kids, 9, 10, 11, 12, that really formative age where their mind is still really open and without the filter that we get as adults. Once they've been told that, yep, that's me. And it's good. They find it really comforting in a way because they've found their spot. They know who they are because they've got this label. So in the classroom, you've got all the clever ones and you've got the ones who aren't so good and then the ones who are bad handwriters, all this stuff, can't do maths. But I'm the one with the ADHD. I have to go and have my tablets. I have to go to the sick bay and the nurse has to give me the tablets, So it's a cycle they get stuck in.
Now, have you ever had any, because you came from an educational background in that industry, did you ever have any teachers approach you and ask, is there a better way to handle kids, or did you ever have that happen?
Not really as far as the kids go, unfortunately. Because I came into this towards the end of my career with the education department.
Gotcha.
But I was doing a lot of online through the COVID lockdowns because all the schools were closed. So the teaching was being done online. And we were doing a lot of staff meetings on Zoom. And just to overcome the stress, I was doing quite a few group sessions just to relieve tension and anxiety over being locked up in your house, these sorts of things. So I was doing them for the teachers just to relieve that tension and anxiety. But the teachers at that stage that I was working with were pretty much all ones who'd been in the system 20, 30, some 40 years.
Right.
So fairly stuck in their ways and not really at the time in their career where they were looking for alternatives.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to pass all this help on to the kids.
So if there was one thing in our industry, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, that you would like to see changed or develop, what would that be?
I think changing people's attitude to the way they think of hypnosis. And what I would love, especially with the athletes, is not to use me as the last resort before they give up, but as the first point of call, that to come to me and see what we can work on first before they start going downhill and doubting their abilities. And giving hypnotherapy, the therapeutic part of the modality, where you have a trained person who can guide you through a session, getting that to have a much higher profile and being quite separate to the stage hypnotists and all the stuff that they see in the movies. But knowing that it's a legitimate therapy that will really create change and in so many areas of their lives, because just getting that confidence back. I had a horse rider who's also an estate agent. She came back to me, what did we have? I think we only had 2 sessions. She just needed the second one as a bit of reinforcement. But she came back to me after the sessions and said, my sales have just gone through the roof. I'm back riding my horse. That was what I came to you for. And that's amazing, and thank you. But my real estate sales, because now I'm so more confident. I don't take the
Right.
knockbacks as being personal, which I used to do, she said. Now I can just speak and go back to people rather than say, oh, I'm not going to follow up those people because I haven't got the confidence to do that. So it affects you across the board without you even realizing.
Yeah, that ripple effect from
Mm.
a session that goes throughout, because you cannot do a session of hypnosis and not have it affect
Mm.
most of the time in other areas.
Yep.
And many times it becomes self-correcting,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I find that fascinating, with people and their reactions. Now, when a person, what do you find when a person finally comes to you? Is it because they've searched out other therapies because of everything else has failed, or did they say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and out at the bottom is a hypnotist?
I find with the horse riders that they've gone through all the local riding instructors and coaches
Okay.
without any improvement. And there's obviously just something missing there, the mental aspect, which the
Mm-hmm.
majority of the riding instructors and coaches haven't been trained in. So that's why they come to me, because of the mental aspect of it. The others in the different sports, a lot of that is through referral because they've seen my ads on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, or they've known other people in their particular sport who've had hypnotherapy, not necessarily with me, but
Right.
because I advertise as the sport hypnotherapist, and then they see the ad, they come to me. But again, uh, even in other sports, it's because they know they can do better. They don't know why they're stopping themselves, or why they just can't achieve that level that they know they can get to. And their normal coach, again, doesn't have the training in the mental aspect. And even with the martial arts people, who, I mean, the mental aspect in that is huge,
Right.
but they still come to me to overcome the negative mindset.
Yeah, I've got a bit of experience in that. But now you said something that kind of prompted another question. You said the coaches, that do you find that their coaches will refer them out to you to say, hey,
I
look,
do
this.
now. I do
Oh,
now.
do you?
Yeah, now that the word's getting out there. Yes, I have a number of riding coaches now who refer people to me,
Now,
which is great.
are these people or coaches that you've reached out to and say, hey, this is what I do, this, or they just kind of word of mouth?
They're word of mouth. They'll have a rider who's come to me and they'll say, wow, what's happened to you? And they'll say, well, I went to
Yeah.
Sue and she was able to help me. And then they refer other people in the same situation to me because they've seen the improvement in these other riders. So
Well,
that's great. It's taken a while to happen, but it is starting to happen now.
well, it's interesting that, the coaches will send them to you and then they go back to their coaches. And when they do well, it's the coach.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Never mind. They see that's when I should use that mind control. Make sure you
There you
tell
go.
everyone it's me.
There you go. There you go. All right. So do you have a book or anything that you want to promote, or anything out
Really
there?
only at this stage. I mean, I have written books, but at this stage, they're not what I am promoting. But this app coming up, and once the equestrian one is up and running, I'm going to be looking at also getting these guys to create one for more general sport.
Mm-hmm.
So more for the athletes to be able to listen to, for the mental rehearsal and that sort of thing. And
Gotcha.
again, they'll be able to pick up the different sports because it will be a
Okay.
more general one, not specific, but with the different sports
Now,
incorporated.
How
So
many of your
Rider's Mindset is the app that's going to
gotcha.
be coming up. Yeah.
Okay. So how many of your sessions do you do that are in person versus like in a setting like this online?
Yep. All one-on-one is on Zoom. So it doesn't matter where in the world the athlete is located.
Okay.
We just need to work out time zones, which can be tricky, but we can work around that. That's fine. But I do go out to support my riders if they need that and they're within driving distance. And I also go out to do teams in person so that I've
Wow.
got the whole team there and we can work on, because working with a team is a bit different to working with an athlete one-on-one, because you need to get that pack mentality amongst each of the players, so they get that sixth sense of where the players, their fellow players are, and they don't need to be looking before they pass the ball. So that's something that works really well in person with the whole team there, so that they can get that pack mentality going. But everything else is done on Zoom, and it's the best thing, because the person is in their own home, in the comfort of their home. They block out a time when they're not going to be disturbed, and then they can sit and just let the session continue with that, the change in the mindset, and they don't have to get in their car. I would really not like someone to try and drive after a session, because they can be a bit spaced out for a while.
Right.
And it's so good if they're in their own home, they can just relax there until they feel that they're right to get up and continue their day.
That is so great. I mean, for you to do what you do and to help the people, that it's just they gotta feel and that you're almost like a godsend to them to help them as that last resort.
Last resort.
Well, that's just fascinating. All right. Anything that you want to? How would people get in contact with you besides you here? Let me put your website up there one more time. We'll put that up there. And do you have an email or that you can?
Yeah, it's Sue@sporthypnotherapy.com.
Okay.
Sue Williams.
All right.
So it's just Sue@sporthypnotherapy.com. But there is a booking scheduling app on the website that people can use. Gotcha. And no obligation. I'm just happy to have a chat with people. There's no pressure whatsoever to book a formal session. It's just get together and I tell the people what the sessions are about, how I can potentially help them, and then they can go off and make the decision themselves, because hypnotherapy doesn't really lend itself to being forced down a person's throat. If they're not ready to do it, then it's not going to work, and I'm not going to take their money if the session's not going to work.
You know what? It's really the people who become hypnotists, and everybody's got their own journey to where they end up where they're at as a hypnotist or hypnotherapist. And I find that they're just genuine individuals that are more concerned with helping people to get over whatever it is, and we get paid for it. I mean, everybody gets paid for it, but the focus is not the money. It's the results, to getting the people to get past those issues that they've been dealing with for so long. Well, I am thrilled to have you as a cohort in hypnosis and hypnotherapy. It has been a pleasure meeting you. I'm sure that people are going to watch this and they're going to get a lot out of it, and they'll probably be contacting you. Do you deal with Western writers as well? People who?
Oh yeah, yep. And I mean, any sport, because I get the person to tell me what they need. So I adapt the sessions to be personalized for whatever the sport is, across all riding disciplines. Doesn't matter what, and any sport. And I had a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competitor and coach do a session with me a while ago. I had no idea about it, but I researched it, got all the correct terminology, made sure what I was going to be saying to him was what he wanted to hear, because we do the intake form with all that listed. So, and it worked beautifully. But yeah, I adapt to the client. They don't need to adapt to my methods.
Well, I might have to come see you myself now after having met you.
It would be a pleasure.
Dr. Sue, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And folks, enjoy this presentation. And if you have a need for it, please reach out to her. You probably won't be disappointed.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on your show, Wayne. It's been a real pleasure meeting you and speaking to all these lovely people.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.